Welcome, everybody, to our next session at Firebuy Live. I'm joined here by Gustavo Lopez, the Vice President and Product Strategy and Pricing of MSA Safety. In this interview, we'll be exploring the theme of data and connected solutions and the future of firefighter safety. So thank you for taking the time to talk with me, Gustavo. I really appreciate it. Can we just start by giving you a little introduction into yourself and a brief background into MSA?
Sure thing, Rebecca. So I'm, again, Gustavo Lopez. I'm the Vice President of Product Strategy and Pricing. So really what that means at MSA is that me and my team really look after the product strategies for all of the product portfolio, fire service, industrial, and fixed gas detection for the entire organization. I've been with MSA since 2004. I'm actually a computer electrical engineer by training. I was, funny enough, software engineer number 3 at the company, and now we have upwards of 100 working on really cool, innovative solutions for MSA. And my career path has been pretty varied. Started out in R&D, then moved my way up through the product management ranks, and I was fortunate enough in 2012 to create our wireless and data analytics team, which really set out on the path to create connected solutions across the many verticals that we have. I also led the foundation of our Safety IO organization in 2017, which was a corporate startup that we started at MSA, headquartered between here, Pittsburgh and Berlin, to develop cloud-enabled software for, again, the applications, both fire service and in the industrial sector. In 2019, I led an acquisition and integration of an organization called Sierra Monder, which was a company in Silicon Valley, which developed industrial Internet of Things gateways, which would now have fully integrated into MSA. So my career path has been pretty varied, a lot in the technology space, commercial, and bringing new technologies into the fold, very entrepreneurial and super passionate about the safety mission that the organization has.
So definitely an expert in all things tech and innovation. So definitely perfectly placed for the innovator interview. So thank you for that. And could you start by providing an insight into how connected solutions are advancing safety in both fire services and the industrial sector?
So it's interesting, right? So when we started this journey, in the 2010s, and technology has certainly adapted, technology has evolved quite considerably. And, we are banking on the fact that, in all of our lives, the world's getting smarter, consumer electronics are getting better, and all that technology evolution has made it a lot more efficient for us to use that type of technology into some of the connected devices and some of the products that we have. And what it's really doing is it's helping both firefighters, industrial workers, and infrastructure have much better data and awareness. One of the things that we look at all the time is, our sole mission as an organization is to prevent deaths, lost time incidents, keep firefighters safe, so that everybody goes home to their loved ones at the end of their shift, at the end of their day. And the reality is, it's very difficult, if not impossible, to do this by simply just providing better gear. You certainly, and will certainly continue to innovate around the self-contained breathing apparatus, the fire helmets. I think there's a lot that you certainly can do from a comfort perspective, how you wear it. But for us to really fulfill the mission, you really need to provide connected solutions. You need to provide them the data, the insights to really understand, how did I fight this fire? How do I find my fallen firefighter? How do I best enable the teams to work more effectively and efficiently across the many different scenarios that you may face on a tremendously difficult situation, which may be, a fire. So all those things come to play, and really it's about the data and the insights that we can provide. And technology really is the key enabler to help us do that.
And just on the subject of innovation and that continuous evolution of technology, in what way do you believe that continuous innovation is instigating quite significant change within the safety industry, and particularly in the context of connected solutions?
Within the concepts of connected solutions, we see it all the time, right? I think one of the things, particularly in the fire service that we're seeing is when you look at the incident management experience, when you look at, you're going out there and you're fighting a fire, and you may have, a big structure that you need to send groups of firefighters in different areas. In many cases, a lot of the fire departments still use pen and paper for that. How do you digitize that process? How do you digitize the information that's going on? How do you give the incident commander much better information and insight so that they can spend more time in better directing their troops to best fight that incident? And that's really what technology is helping them do. Not help them do that, but I think there's also an after the fact. You manage that incident, which is really, really chaotic, trying to give them the tools for that. What happens after the incident? How do you ensure that you learn from how you fought it? what could you have done better? There's a tremendous training aspect here that you can replay the incident for them. And then it creates a really big training and learning opportunity, not only for the incident commander, but also, the firefighters that are out there doing all the things that they're doing. And then lastly, there's also an inventory management component to it as well. So really understanding what's happening to my equipment during the incident, and then being a little bit more proactive and not just saying, hey, this cylinder is going to last 15 years, but no, how often did you actually use it? What should your maintenance procedure be based on what the equipment's seen on a day-to-day basis? I mean, the reality is a much more urban city, say like London or New York or LA, will have a heck of a lot more incidents than, say, a smaller municipality somewhere else. So the rules are not the same. So you want to be able to provide them the tools and the data so that the fire departments can really manage their equipment a heck of a lot more efficient.
And there's 2 points there that you just mentioned that I'd like to kind of highlight on a little bit. Is the first one is you mentioned the fact that our landscape is evolving when it comes to firefighting. We're no longer just, like you said, having a city fire service or a municipality or, a very remote kind of countryside in over here in the UK. But our built landscape is continuously evolving just as rapidly as we are, as industries are, as people are, not just with technology, but with the physical structures. I mean, high-rise firefighting now is part and parcel of everyday life for firefighters. So I think technology can play such a crucial role in that evolution as well, in enabling fire services to actually manage that process more efficiently. And the second one as well is you touched briefly on training, and that's another point with kind of keeping up, using technology to help keep up with this evolving narrative of what the modern firefighter is. We're not just pop on your fire PPE and go out to fire and spray it and you're good to go. It's not like that anymore. The different types of fires that we encounter, whether it's electric vehicle fire, high rise like we mentioned, wildfires, it's becoming all encompassing in the firefighter role. You're not designated to one area anymore. So making sure that we have the technology to keep up with those traits and those innovations is something that is definitely crucial. So it's great to hear that you're kind of working off of that theme as well. And just lastly as well, data is increasingly pivotal in connected solutions, like we kind of touched on. But could you discuss how data can be used not only to enhance worker and firefighter safety, but also to extend the lifespan of a product?
Yeah, and I briefly touched on that a little bit, just giving this cylinder example. So one of the things that, that happens particularly within the fire scene is, you have those cylinders that people use to provide air to the self-contained breathing apparatus that the firefighters wear. So how often should you be checking them? How often should you be maintaining them? How often should you be doing certain things? And all of those devices come with manufacturers' recommendations, which are certainly very valid. But in some cases, you may see and you may find out that you can be a little bit more proactive. One of the things that we certainly are doing right now is we're looking at hours that it's actually being used. Because in a lot of cases, like I said, a London, Berlin, Paris is certainly a lot different than some of the maybe more rural municipalities that you said in the UK, the US, or some of the other areas in the world. So we want to give them the tools to be able to better manage that. So if you really understand the hours that the products are being used, you can actually provide a much more prescriptive, maintenance procedure for those devices, which at the end of the day are going to extend the life. You can be a lot more proactive about that. And data plays, again, a key role in that, to that. I think about all of the transitions and, one of the things in my role that I do a lot is I actually look a lot at various industries, right? So just think of the transition that's happened in the automobile industry, right? So certainly, not to date myself, but when I got my first car, you needed to replace the oil every 3,000 miles, right? And you look at, the car that I have right now, it's okay every 10,000, and they get a lot more proactive. There's so much technology around that it actually tells me when you actually have to replace the oil, when you have to do maintenance to the various parts of the product, and all those technologies. It's just natural they're making all the way into the safety products. And again, our goal is to keep people safe, in the most effective and efficient way possible. All these technologies help you do that.
Definitely. And you mentioned obviously that the maintenance of things, and especially when it comes to SCBA, like you said, that the use of that can, if that's not maintained properly and cleaned properly, that can be detrimental to a firefighter's life. Not just the product lifespan, but the lifespan of the firefighter. When we are being exposed to all these kind of toxins and carcinogens, making sure that we're helping firefighters be safe in the equipment that they're using is also imperative. And obviously, we've touched a lot on connected solutions, but in the context of other first responder solutions, like we've mentioned, SCBA or even thermal imaging, are there any other technological developments in that area at the moment?
I mean, we're always looking at things. I mean, I think when you look at thermal imaging, those cores are getting a little smaller, so we're looking at a lot of integration. About 4 or 5 years ago, we launched our first integrated TAC in the North American market that's tied to our G1 SCBA, and we're looking at, as those technologies get better, they get driven by other industries that have a little bit more scale, and then we can take advantage of the scale that's happening in those industries, and we can take those technologies and then better integrate them into our products. I think when you look at, and I look at 5, 10 years down the road, we certainly see the potential for better on-ground, on-scene communication between firefighters, being able to talk amongst them. That certainly is an area that we're looking at. I think you get even further down the road, I think there is a component that's also looking at the health and safety component of a firefighter, kind of providing that Fitbit, Apple Watch type of analysis of what's happening during a fire, over exertion, all those things. That's probably a little further out. There's some technology challenges to really bring that to scale in such a difficult scenario that is highly regulated, like the firefighting. But again, those are areas we're all keeping an eye on, because they can help provide a much better picture to not only the fire chiefs, but also the firefighters, as everybody is looking to take better control of their own health and safety.
And speaking of products, obviously MSA is a very international brand. So how crucial is compliance with both EN and NFPA standards and certifications?
It's huge, right? I mean, it certainly creates it creates difficulties in terms of when you're trying to innovate, because it is highly regulated. But when you look at a company like MSA that is solely focused on safety, we can put all our resources behind ensuring that not only are you advancing the goalpost in terms of adding technology for the benefit of the workers or the firefighters, but you're also doing it in a prudent way, evolving the standards. One of the things that all of our teams really do is they sit on all these standard committees, the NFPA standards, the EN standards, along with the firefighters and other manufacturers, as well as we advocate for better equipment, better use of technology to increase and improve the safety of the person that's obviously going to wear the equipment and going to be in this super hazardous situation, which could be a fire.
And when it comes to innovating, how should the voice of the customer influence a manufacturer's product development process?
I mean, that's huge for us. I mean, if we believe in it day to day, it's kind of the core and the motto of everything that we do. We start all of our processes, all of our projects with a very, very thorough voice of customer. We actually have a team of designers that look at the usability of the products. Like they'll go out there and they'll spend countless hours, days, weeks, if not months, side by side with the various customers. And certainly from a firefighter perspective, one of the things we really love about this market is they're very accessible. They're very willing to work with you and really help you understand living what happens during a fire, during an incident. All of our product developers go through, intense training as well, in terms of, going through the training academy, the fire academy, and, live what it's like to not just design the SCBA, but wear it and see what these folks that are going to go through this really difficult situation, what they feel, how difficult it is during a high stress scenario. And it gives you a much better perspective. But the usability, the UX aspect of, especially as you get into connected solutions, is pretty dramatic. And we, again, have designers that sit in Berlin, that sit here in Pittsburgh, that their sole job is to go out there, understand the customer, create those empathy maps, create those personas, because what may be very, very useful for a fire chief may not be the same thing that's useful for the actual firefighter in the fire. And so we do have pretty good degrees of separation of understanding how the solution really fits the various pieces and ensure that it's going to do the job that we want it to do.
No, definitely. And the fire industry can be one that is known to be slightly slow to change. And obviously, this can be frustrating in some respects, but it's also obviously for very good reason. The role of a firefighter, like we've established, is you're playing with life and death when it comes to fighting a fire. So, in your opinion, how important is reliability in products of firefighters, and does this make it difficult to innovate?
Yes and yes. I think reliability is crucial, right? I mean, I think we can't do technology just for the sake of doing technology if people are not going to trust it. So I think that is so. When our approach to technology development is, and I tell that to our teams, and we have a lot of passionate discussions about this because you can do almost anything right now with the way the technology exists. But our approach to technology is to take it in steps. It's great to have a North Star where you're viewing a system that's going to be tremendously amazing and, have AI and have all these amazing buzzwords that exist in the market today. But the reality is, for you to get it adopted, you got to take it one step at a time. So I'll give you a perfect example. One of the things that we look really hard at was the incident management experience. So when you're going out there and fighting an incident and just having to get, your products connected and creating a network, well, that can turn into training and can turn into all these other things. But what we really did is we focused on first and foremost is let's get people connected and eliminate the paper trail so that instead of having to write things down, you just have a portal where everything is connected and you at the very least have a digital way that you can handle it. And let's get that right. Let's get that foolproof. And once we get that foolproof, let's move on to something else. Because the worst thing you can do is promise something to a firefighter or any customer where the benefits are tremendous, but it's so difficult to get to. The change management aspect, not only for fire in the fire service, but also for our industrial customers, is so crucial. I mean, this is health and safety devices. So we want to make sure that everything we do has the utmost reliability before moving to the next step. So that is one of the reasons we take, we do place some bets, but we try to make it very, very targeted so that we first solve a situation really, really well before you move on to the other one, while still painting the picture of the North Star where we want to get to, because that is important as well.
Mm. And looking forward to 2024 and beyond that, I suppose, in the next foreseeable future, should we say, what developments in firefighter safety and product innovation are you most excited about, especially in the realm of connected solutions?
Yeah, I'm super excited about anything that we can do around just getting folks connected. I think there's, I've visited so much fire departments and we see so many customers and the amount of pen and paper that's still used throughout, primarily because, either you don't trust it or it's just the pain to change is so complicated. I think we're working on everything to make those solutions a lot easier to use. And when they're easier to use, are easier to implement, and the power of using that data, the power of being proactive, not only about the maintenance of the product, but also how you're fighting the incident, how you're managing the incident, what you can create around the training component of it. I'm tremendously excited about that. I think over the next 18 to 24 months, I really feel like there's going to be some inflection points in the industry. I think you're seeing that just in general, and it's going to help us then use those catalysts to just further innovate and further provide technologies that move people along the continuum. So you can find a fallen firefighter with ranging to ranging technology so that you can have better, unseen voice communication between firefighters. There's just a ton of things that we can do, but I think it really starts with, first getting this particular just getting folks connected, and particularly when they're driving into a scene. And now I can see all my firefighters as they're going into the scene, and the fire chief doesn't use pen and paper. They're managing it all digitally.
And in the wider context of firefighting equipment or industrial safety products, I suppose obviously you've got a lot of innovations in the gas leak kind of side of things as well. Could you share your insights just on the kind of current market trends that we're looking at and where we think these industries are going?
Yeah, I think we're going to see a lot more of this. I mean, I think the reality is people still need the hardware equipment, and there's very strict standards, very strict things just to be able to do the job. But what you're going to see, and you're going to see more and more of, is the expectation that they do more than just protect me as the worker or the firefighter. But what are you really giving some of the folks that are, whether it's the fire chief, the incident commander, or a safety manager, what other tools are you giving them to be able to do their jobs a little better, which at the end of the day means less injuries, more uptime, all those things. And that really only comes from connectivity. And so you're going to start to continue to see a divide, I think, in some folks that maybe it doesn't make a heck of a lot of sense just because of the size of, say, the fire department, but you're going to start to see a migration. And we're starting to see that really with all the large tenders that we have with the major cities, urban cities. You know, when you think of a London with over 8-9 million folks and managing that, I mean, you can't do that by just providing them better widgets, right? And then you have other major metropolitan areas like LA and places like that, that is the expectation, that you're providing them with much better technology so that they can be more efficient with the resources that they have.
Mm. And finally, Gustavo, on a more personal note, what inspires your commitment to safety and innovation, and how do you envision your role in shaping the future of MSA Safety's product strategy?
You know, I will say that after 20 years in this organization, I'm just as passionate as the day I started. I'll be honest, in 2004, when I was applying for companies, I didn't really know much about MSA, but I'm so glad that I ended up at a safety company. It's such a noble mission, and you know, I can point to so many examples of innovations that I've worked in, products that I've worked in, technologies that I've worked in that have had an impact on somebody's lives, personal lives, where somebody is, you know, going home safely because of some of the things that we did. And there's no higher calling than that. I think when you talk to a lot of the folks at MSA, certainly in my team, but I think throughout the 5,000 person organization, you'll feel that mission come through really, really, really hard. And I think it's a testament to this organization, to the culture that it has, and the commitment that all of our folks have. I think I do these type of interviews quite often. I talk to our investors, I talk to our customers, and the one thing that always comes through is, wow, you guys have a passion for this that is unmatched. And it's our sole purpose for existing. I think we're a very unique company. And personally, you know, I think a lot of us really, really buy into it. It's not just another cool thing. It's a great mission to get behind.
It's not, yeah, not just like I said, not just a job. It's yeah, something, a collective mission. You know, that's really perfect way to end. So thank you. I really appreciate those kind words. It's great to hear about, you know, not just the products you're innovating, but the company ethos itself. You know, that social corporate responsibility. We love hearing, you know, what companies are doing to better the environment for their employees and for their customers as well. So thank you, and thank you for taking the time to talk to me. If anybody has any further questions, they can reach out to Gustavo on the platform. Sorry, and thank you.
Thank you so much, and appreciate the time.